YouTube and Facebook to go. So I really, hopefully we're getting this guy Connor who's going to be figuring out how to make it so that, the waiting room and everything works. There we go, so I can hear it myself. So that is definitely working. Just spam this a little bit more. Hello? How to... Oh, I mean, I just... I'm about to send you the video link right now. So that's going to your messenger right now. Yeah, it'd be cool if you did. Yep.
Or like plug into something.
Yeah, we're having our newest programmer is on. Yeah. I mean, it's not so much just the Zoom thing, but just the show, share the show. That's what I'm sending you right now. Yep.
The plugin you
Yep.
the Unity integration.
No, not that yet. Yeah. And yeah, well, really, what I want to show people is how to interact between developers and users. Well, normally you don't get a chance to talk to the developer, and so you just got to use what they gave you, and that's it. So, all right. Yep. Oh, okay, great. I'll take a look. All right. Cool. All right. Sorry about all that. That's another chunk to cut off the beginning of this thing, right? Okay, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So let's see. Let me just get to. It's gonna be a little bit before Scott gets on here. So what I want to do. I just want to check so I can make sure that I'm watching the Zoom all the time, so I know who's in. Yeah, there we go. There we got Zoom.
I can see myself now.
Yay! Now it's recursive.
Yeah.
All right, recursion of recursiveness. How do I? So if somebody shows up, it should come up on here. Okay, so let's see. I think we're going. I see people watching. Hey, everybody out there, whoever's out there. Okay, so welcome to Dropping In at Pipeline Audio. This is number 94. And this is how to do tech support. So last week was how not to. So this week hopefully we're going to have something a little bit better. Oh yeah, hey Tom Jump. Now that's awesome. Look, we got a celebrity in the audience right here right now. Yeah, this didn't cut off anything. This is live, dude. Sorry. Yeah, I meant to. Okay, so today I have Mark Langer. Is that right? Is that how I say it?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, and for you guys who don't know, because you are not cool enough to be in our Discord or something, that you haven't joined it yet, Mark is our newest developer over at AIX DSP, and I don't think I even talked to him on the phone before. I'm sure Mike did. Mike's talked to you, right?
Yeah, I think maybe early on that we had one team call, like my first day or something like that. But it's been a long time.
Okay, how in the world did you decide you wanted to program audio plugins?
That's a good question. I've been into music, since I was like 9-10 years old. I got into recording and making music on the computer in high school. I had Reason 3 on my laptop in, must have been 2006 or something like that. And at the same time, I was always really interested in like science and math. So sort of just a natural combination of the two things, like being very interested in how audio gets processed, how these things translate from like, mathematical laws all the way up to musical decisions, like just making a kick drum sound better or something like that. So kind of just being interested in how all that stuff connects and works together.
So you do definitely have like a music and audio engineering background, and it sounds like you got some interest in DSP, which is seems pretty rare most of the time. You think all the plugin developers would, but they don't for the most part.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know too much about what other developers know or don't, but yeah, definitely interested in how these things get processed. And there's some really cool, like, wild math that when I learned about it, I didn't expect it to like be that way. But I was like, oh, this crazy thing that I like learned in a math class in college is actually like how filters get designed, which is wild.
Yeah. And so you took Chuck's programming for musicians course, right?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Matt Cat, he had yeah. How did we find you, or did Dave find you?
I responded to something on the Juice Forums website.
Oh, okay. So you didn't come from Chuck's class. So how did you learn?
I don't think so.
How did you learn C++
Yeah.
and stuff?
I started kind of on my own a little bit before I linked up with you guys. I had been just like toying around making some plugins in Juice. I think I had 2 plugins that both were pretty broken for reasons that I now understand. Thanks to Dave. Shout out to Dave. But I learned the basics of kind of how to get things set up. I had learned some like JavaScript and other sort of web programming before in other languages, but really I was kind of just like fishing around in the dark for a while, trying to make plugins. And there's some great stuff on the Audio Programmer YouTube for the basics, and just kind of like getting started was really, really helpful for me.
I think that's where I ran into Chuck right before he started doing. So he's got a class that really gets people introduced to C++ and mostly in the context of Juice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's great, and it was.
Who is Chuck? Is that someone you know?
He's got a company called Matt Cat. He makes an app called Cordy, which is
Cool.
which are really handy. Our teachers use it and stuff. Here comes Scott Veenstra. Hey, Scott, I don't know if you can hear us and hear you. Uh-oh. I don't see you talking. Are you there, Scott? All right, I guess we broke him. We'll see what he says. He's been on before. Let's see. Let me make sure where I'm messing it up. Scott, I see you. I don't hear you. Let me just tell him that. So yeah, this is just something I'm really. It's always in the earliest days, man. Like back in the Reaper days, we were finding ways of trying to help early podcasters solve these exact problems. And back then you might have Skype that you could have people call in, but even then it just never worked. We begged Skype to add ASIO support and stuff, but no luck. Yeah, I'm not sure why we're getting Scott or we're not getting Scott, but so what were you doing before this crazy pandemic?
Well, I played trumpet with a pop soul band called Lawrence, and we had been doing tours like going out for 6-7 weeks at a time, coming back for a little bit, and I was doing that and tutoring math and physics.
Oh wow!
For a couple of years, and kind of wanted to sort of phase out of the tutoring thing. I was just getting a little stale, and wanted to start coding and like get into audio in particular. So, man,
that's a lot of stuff, and then like a kind of a career switch. But yeah, I don't imagine people really want you blowing trumpets in their face right now.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the whole, obviously, as you know, the whole world of live music is just waiting until everyone's vaccinated, basically. So.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. We've been doing the quarantine concerts over here, so it's well set up for that. So we're luckily for that side of it. Scott, I have no idea what's going on with you.
Can you hear me yet?
Oh, now we see you.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Me too? I can hear you and I can see you.
All right. Awesome.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, how's it going, Scott?
All right. Nice to meet you.
Good.
In a different way, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's good to be face to face.
Yeah. So Mark, if you don't know, Scott Scott has a pretty hardcore acoustics background, like
Sweet.
hardcore. With the with as much trouble as I get in on the internet, Scott and pals would get just as much heat because they were trying to tell the truth about acoustic designs and stuff. Yeah, Scott, can you give a real brief intro? Because some of the guys may not know you.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have a kind of a long, history. I mean, I'm a musician first, really, a drummer, and I played professionally here in Michigan, and then I moved to New York City I was there for 18 years, and now I'm back in Michigan. But as I've been going through this stuff and learning about computers and music and everything, and then I got deeper into acoustics, and then just studio design and all the different things I was working on, and then Ethan hired me to be an acoustics consultant for his company.
That's Ethan Weiner of Real Traps. That he's about to play it down, but no, that's where Scott was. So that's who he is.
Ethan's definitely a legend in the industry. He's been spreading the gospel about acoustics for a long time, and he really has taken a lot of heat, from some really sort of prominent acousticians. It's interesting, that whole world is very sort of controversial, and there's a lot of contention about different theories and stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that kind of it's hard to test how sound works.
And Ethan gets a lot of crap for the things that are easy to test, like frequency response, distortion, noise,
Right.
bandwidth. He's kind of the James Randi of audio, and we just lost James Randi, so I guess now we got Ethan.
Yeah, he's always been such a really a consumer advocate. He's the kind of guy who will hassle companies that are ripping off customers, and so he's really a character. I love him to bits. He's just there's just nobody like him. So.
And so what are you doing now? Since nobody's going anywhere or doing anything.
Well, I'm it's weird. I've done a few gigs, and here and there. I've actually been building a multi-camera, 18-channel multi-tracking live rig.
Oh,
and
cool!
Actually, tonight is the premiere of my trial, my maiden voyage. It's online. I recorded a jazz quartet, and so that's broadcasting tonight at 7:30 Eastern.
And what is that? What is that on?
That's on. I could post a link.
Yeah. Can you click links in Zoom? I don't even know how you would do that.
You can put them in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Put it in the chat, and I'll put it in my. Can I do that? Yes, I can. I can put it on my restream.
Okay, let me see if I can find.
If I can find my restream. Okay. Hey, Alex. It's DJ Rapstar in the house, or what's his name right now? Well, speaking of maiden voyages, man, this is we are guinea pigging my new upgraded rig here. I haven't done any optimization at all. Let's see. Yeah, did you post a link? Or are you looking for a link?
I'm just finding it. All right, let me see the chat here. Okay, there we go. There it is. Yep. So that was my first time doing a full multi-track of a band, plus doing a 4-camera shoot by myself.
Oh, so how do you decide to switch, and how do you switch between cameras when you're doing everything else? Like, does it have like an automatic thing? Or you have all 4 just set all the time, or what are you doing for that?
Well, that one I didn't do like streaming. I didn't use OBS. I just recorded. I had all the cameras running. I had 3 on tripods and 1 on a gimbal. And the one thing about when you're using like DSLRs for video recording is that a lot of them have a
29-minute limit.
yep. And
Yes.
so you gotta kind of keep track of that, and you're watching the lighting, you're keeping track of each of the the exposure and the focus on everything. Of course, once you get those set up, you're pretty cool, but you got to make sure that you time everything so that, okay, well, I got to restart all the cameras so that we don't have one going and going off in the middle. And so it's not like I mean, it's a challenge, especially the first time, because you got to keep all that stuff together, and
No.
you don't want to make a mistake while you got 4 great musicians just trying to do their thing, and you don't want to miss a take, just like in a studio situation. So
I've gotten a lot of trouble because I go ballistic over that stupid limit. If and watching some manufacturers try and pretend reasons for it that have nothing to do with it, and just sending people down rabbit holes. But there were a couple. There was a Japan only Panasonic that didn't have that limit. There's a couple. If you can get the Japanese version, sometimes you can, but not the rest of the software doesn't work with them. And I mean, it's just a nightmare, And if you know the history behind it, like or at least as far as I understand, it's because of anything that can do 30 minutes or more is considered a professional video recorder in Europe, and somehow they didn't just make an American version. Or I'll tell you what, I would be happy to pay whatever that extra tax is. They're saying that it's a tax. Whatever the tax is, if they doubled the price of the camera to let it record more than 30 minutes, I'd pay it. I mean, it'd still be worth it compared to what we used to have to carry around with these giant battery packs on our backs and giant thing on a pole. I'll pay it, man, any day.
Yeah, I've got kind of a range of different cameras here. I've got a couple that are the Sony RX. I've got a RX 100 and an RX 10. They're bridge cameras. It's a fixed lens. That you can't. It's not like a DSLR where you can switch the lens. But they have the zoom and everything in it.
Yeah.
So, and then those have the limit. Then I had another small bridge camera, the Panasonic LX10, and that one doesn't have the limit on it.
Oh wow!
And then I've got a Sony AX500 or A6500 coming, and I've heard that there's a hack you can do to get past that limit. But then I think the A6600, they've got rid of that limitation.
Awesome.
So I don't know. It seems like there's some movement toward that with some newer cameras, but
Yeah, it only took 20 years, I guess, but that's I'll take it as soon as it shows up.
Yeah.
What were you recording with?
I have a Behringer XR18.
Okay.
And I'm pretty happy with the way that records.
Oh yeah. I got in so much trouble for testing the thing and showing that it runs just fine. I have one for the kids' shows, but I wouldn't hesitate it if I needed a 16 to 18 channel recording right now. I would take it out and go. There's some problems with the newer driver for using it for a situation like what I'm doing exactly right now, but for recording and mixing and playing back, man, that thing is awesome. And you think you're getting 18 channels for $500 plus an audio interface.
It's crazy. I keep, every time I look at that thing, it's like a shoebox. Yeah. And I'm looking at all the stuff you can do on it, and the effects on it are sound great. I mean, it's kind of mind blowing. I mean, thinking about what, like we were talking the other day about what we had to work with, 20 years ago, and it's like, I mean, what we would pay $500 for then versus what we have now,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
And and if you listen to that recording, I think I mean, I was recording $100,000 Steinway Grand, and the drums. This guy's cymbals. He's a kind of a cymbal freak, So he's, I mean, this guy has so many cymbals, and they're all like really, I don't know. He's just kind of known for being a cymbal freak, and
Yeah.
so his cymbals are just absolutely beautiful. So and I feel like they all of that stuff really comes out beautifully, in that with the recording on this Behringer thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had Behringer stuff before that I wasn't too happy with, but no.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. We did a couple shows where we actually did apples to apples tests. That's still up on my website. There's charts that actually test noise and distortion and frequency response and everything. And that's a quite capable unit. It was slightly noisier than at the time. I had a Midas X32, or what do they call it? Midas M32.
Mm-hmm.
But the frequencies and stuff is. I mean, I guarantee you, man, I'd be surprised if anybody could ever tell the difference between the two, unless you were really cranking something super quiet and playing, really had it up loud where you could hear the noise. And even then, it wasn't that much more. It was the tiniest bit. So, yeah.
Isn't it? It's like lower than an SSL desk, though, isn't it? On the Behringer.
Probably.
I was looking that up.
I didn't check. It's been a long time. I mean, I remember, you'd have this argument between console manufacturers about, should we sum the 8 buckets at a time to keep the noise down, or should we sum them all at the end to keep the noise down? And then you got parallel uncorrelated noise and stuff. And now we're just like, yeah, none of that stuff's there because it's all inside and there's no crosstalk and there's nothing else. So,
right, yeah. I was on a forum, and people were talking about that. Oh, well, you should get the Midas because it's lower noise. And I was like, well, how much lower noise is that, and how low a noise do you really need? I mean, and that's when I looked it up to see what the noise was on an SSL or some of these other big desks, and that was what came up. It's like the noise on those was higher. So I mean, how low noise do you need, really?
Yeah. So one of the things I was trying to do today was get Jim Roseberry on here. He's my favorite dog guru.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, right?
Yeah, I don't know him well, but I know who he is.
Yeah. So so I was upgrading one of his platinum computers from, I think it's in 2014 or 2015, and it's been my studio computer here at the school and my main computer that I use for all that time. And I just, I got a laptop a while back when I was trying to do really talk with the manufacturers of guitar signal processing, like especially the plugins like Positive Grid and stuff. And I needed a laptop so I could try to do some live stuff. And I was kind of blown away that my laptop, as much as everybody hated laptops for audio back in the day, was it was murdering the studio computer. But still, yet I was doing fine. And then I just recently got a new laptop with like an i7 10 series, and I was working on mixes at home. And then when I bring them to work, I couldn't even play them unless I set the latency like super high. So I was like, I can't have my laptop faster than my desktop, so I've been upgrading this thing, and it's not like before when you could get on Google. We said it a lot of times in here. We're kind of leaving the information age and entering the hyperbole, clickbait, and spam age. So when I was trying to Google exactly what I wanted to do, not that this is critical, because back in the day, man, it was so critical what parts you got, and everything could just mess up because you got one component that was so slightly different and you really needed to tweak everything. You don't really need to do that anymore, but still yet, I was pretty confused and I wasn't really getting the information I needed. And so I had to hit a real expert like Jim or Vin Carigliano over at the Dawbench guy. And, we ended up with a i7 10700K. I'm gonna run out in 10 minutes. Okay, I'll restart Zoom in a second. But I ended up doing that. I got 16 gigs of 3200 RAM and an Asus motherboard, and it didn't end up costing anything. I wasn't really sure how to put it together because the new CPU fans look like they belong on a car engine, man. They are gigantic. And I was like, this ain't gonna fit in the case, but it did. so we're running it right now. And
Is it noisy or
what is that?
how is it for noise?
No, this one was the it's a Noctua, and I can't hear it. It's I mean, I can hear stuff outside this room more than I hear this computer. Jim recommended it was a Noctua. I mean, it's gigantic, so you can have the fan running at a much lower RPM or whatever. But I mean, I'm surprised it fit in that case, man. It is humongous. Let's see. How do I? Hold on. Before I screw up, I am going to end the Zoom meeting, and if I can get you guys to jump back in, and then I'm going to end up. I'm just going to end up buying this thing before I forget. But right now, I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to ask you guys to come back in if I can in a second. Okay.
Okay, you're going to send us the link somewhere.
Yeah. I'll send you the link. Give me 1 second.
Link up in the chat, by the way.
No, what?
I did put that link up in the chat.
Yeah, it's on the restream. For some reason, it can't get the restream's not getting back to you, but it's getting out to everybody else. I'll be right back. Sorry.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sorry everybody for the dead time. I didn't realize there was a time limit on Zoom, so I'm going to be buying the real version of Zoom. It's more than worth it. This is my fault for not knowing this. I was going to try and crank calls, cold calls of people on Messenger, but anybody who's on Zoom is not going to be able to hear the Messenger, and the Messenger guys aren't going to be able to hear Zoom. And it's just going to be what they say in Ghostbusters. It'll be cats living with dogs, and it'll be anarchy. So can't really have that. So I'm getting everybody back into the Zoom. And 1 second, make sure I'm getting the links up right. Sorry for this brief intermission right here. And for you guys on Discord, let me put a new Zoom link in there in case you guys want to get on here. So there's your Discord link. I think the Facebook guys got it, and let me see if everybody's back in. I think they're waiting. Oh wow, look at that! It actually worked. Okay. So anyway,
Hey.
you guys can hear. Everybody's hearing everybody. All right.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, So I guess Jim said that I can lock all the cores. I'm terrified of overclocking. I know everybody does it now and everything, but I didn't. On the Reaper forum, they're talking about overclocking the memory. That sounded absolutely terrifying to me. So I won't be doing that as far as I know. But Jim said that I can lock all the cores to. I can lock all the cores like they're showing here to 5.1 gigahertz, which sounds absolutely insane to me. So my last one was a i7 3770K, which was, I think, the top performer at the time pretty much. But if I can do 5.1 gigahertz, that's kind of crazy. So I don't know, what do you guys, Mark, you're one of those crazy Mac people, right?
Yeah, I'm running a Mac Mini as a desktop at the moment, and I have an old MacBook Pro laptop. So I have my eye on some upgrades sometime soon, but for the most part, it gets the job done. If I run too many plugins on the Mac Mini, I start to run into problems. But.
And is that the Mac Mini with the ARM on it, or is that something else?
No, I think it's still the old processor. Let me find out. I'll let you know. Yeah, it's a Intel i5.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Justin has been kind of, I think it was kind of stealth for a while, but I mean, I know the cat's out of the bag now. He was making sure that Reaper was ready for ARM, and I guess it's been running on ARM for quite a while now. So I didn't realize that. So that's kind of it's kind of crazy. It's, you know, to see. I heard like Nvidia's making their own CPU possibly, and I mean things are going crazy right now. You know, Scott, are you running a Ryzen or an Intel or what?
I honestly, I'm dealing with. I have a laptop with a fifth generation i5. That's right now my most powerful machine, or my most powerful laptop, and then I have an iMac, a 2012 iMac with that's got a third generation Core i7 quad core.
Yeah, that's what I was running in here until just 2 days ago. It's just crazy how powerful stuff is. Like you could talk about a first generation i7 is still, you know, if you look at the albums on my wall, man, that thing is 1,000 times more powerful than what mixed all those, you know. So
Right.
we're just spoiled, man.
Were you really running into any problems on the i7? I mean, you may be doing more advanced stuff than what I'm doing right now. I mean, I'm running, I'm running some, contact complete stuff and everything else on that with no problem.
I was getting, I have to run low enough latency that the bands can record well, even if it's all the drum tracks at once. And I like to stream stuff too, even if it's a real band recording. I like it streaming. And so that there's a lot of other things like OBS and stuff. But for real, I was doing there were some mixes I was messing with at home where I was just like willy-nilly, didn't even care what plugin I'm using with the new laptop. And when I brought it here, it was just choking it, man. So yeah, it was time. It was time to, but especially for the streaming here, like it's good to have some headroom, some serious headroom.
I'm hoping you'll do a tutorial on how you put all this stuff together with running the audio from here, there, and everywhere. Sounds like you got a million things going on.
I tell you what, it's a nightmare. Let me. I think some people have seen this one before. Let me see if I can pull this up right now. Oh man, just prepare to barf. Where is it? Where is it? No. Routing. I think this is it. There we go. So I don't know if you guys can see my screen. Let me move this over. So this is Draw.io, and this is all the signal sources. This is how it gets between the RME total mix and in and out of everything. It's such a nightmare. This is how I talk to Zoom. I mean, it is just stupid. I mean, we've done a couple shows on why this is such a crazy nightmare and stuff, and this is definitely a problem that I wanna fix, because this is such a I don't even know what the hell's going on. Like if I didn't write it down, and then I'll change something and not realize why everything in the world is now annihilated. I mean, it's just such a nightmare, and so I want to solve that problem, because when this pandemic happened, we had a bunch of teachers out of work, and a lot of these people had never even used a computer before in their life, and now all of a sudden they got to talk to their students. Right. They can play into their laptop mic or their iPad mic or whatever, but if they want to play an app to them and everything else, it was just a nightmare to do this stuff. So that's something I really, really, really want to do, and because of that, this is the kind of the real topic clickbait of this show today. We got Mark here. I don't know where Dave is. Dave has probably had a long enough week, and Mark came on as a glutton for punishment. But we got Mark here, and we're on the verge Mark, I think you don't have any commercial plugins out, right?
No, this would be the first one that goes up for sale.
So this is a big deal. This is going to be Mark's first. Once upon a time, a billion years ago, people actually knew who I was in the DAW world, and had he been releasing this back then, it would be to a lot of fanfare. Hopefully, there'll still be some, but I mean, this is a big deal. Like this is like imagine if you're a musician, this is like putting out your first record, and not just putting out
For
your
sure.
first record. This is putting out your first record, and knowing that it's going on the radio. That's what this is
Yeah.
going to be. So
This is exciting. I'm definitely excited about it.
yeah, this is it's got to be a killer thing. So this first one here is in our tradition of naming things for the most part exactly what they are. Like we got a bunch of crap for naming multiband gate, but it's a multiband gate. So this is a dynamic EQ, and it's called dynamic EQ, and I pretty much we just wanted an EQ that our users could have used following our paradigm, and they could trust us. But we wanted to make sure that it kind of fit how we're doing the other things, and I had a couple little twists that I wanted to have on there was a lot of multiband gate version 2 stuff that I was trying to think, how in the world are we really going to fit this into the multiband gate paradigm? And with this dynamic EQ and another plugin that's coming up soon, I think we can leave multiband gate to do exactly what it's doing, and actually improve what it's doing, but not mess with its paradigm. And so dynamic EQ is going to take on some of that. It's going to handle your traditional EQ stuff as well, but it's also going to actually going to handle your dynamic EQ stuff. I'm really hoping that because this thing has a hold control in it, that this is going to make a much better de-esser than the de-essers that we've had in the past. There's other uses for this because it's going to have both an upward and downward expander. A lot of the things that you might have wanted to do with multiband EQ, but kind of were out of the paradigm, you'll probably be able to do with multiband gate. You'll probably be able to do with dynamic EQ. But while I'm filibustering here, Mark, why don't you tell us about this plugin?
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered most of it. It sort of does the sort of canonical stuff that most other dynamic EQs do. I think that the biggest sort of like upgrades are the flexibility of setting the detector source per band, which I know was something that you really emphasized early on.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of other, I don't know if the other dynamic EQs that I've seen, the F6, the TR, et cetera, allow you to do that. So that's a really neat trick for certain types of problem solving, is being able to set it differently per band. Sidechain, just your low end compression to your kick drum or whatever. And then the upwards and downwards compression on the dynamics, and the hold control. So just kind of getting more detailed with our selection of dynamics parameters than most dynamic EQs do, and then you get to control all that stuff per band. So I think that having that kind of like per band detailed control is going to be makes this unique, and is really cool. And they're all your ideas, so so thanks to Aaron for being picky about what he wanted.
Well, you guys got to figure out how to get it to run. So that's the real trick. I could come up with ideas all day long, and multiband gate kind of existed for a little bit more than 10 years without actually being out there and usable, except for as a kludged together Reaper project with a bunch of JS plugins side-chained into each other and stuff. So having an idea is one thing, being able to implement it is a whole nother story. And that's why I really wanted to have you and Scott on here at the same time, because just like the way Reaper was developed, we really, really tried to just sit there with the end users and not hey, here's your tool, you're going to use it and you're going to like it, or else too bad. We want to make sure that Scott had some suggestions and stuff, and I want Scott to understand why we're doing and and we can understand why he's asking the things he's asking. And anybody else out there, if you got questions on this, if you're on the beta and you got any questions about this EQ, you can hop on the Zoom. You can type in on Restream chat. It should be showing on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, No Live, D Live, and a couple of Periscope, a couple other places. So Scott, there was a couple things. I think for one thing, if I click this, So if I click the high pass and low pass filters, they're not on by default, which they kind of look like they are, right? Like shouldn't maybe this should be grayed out, this little white thing, so you know that they're not on.
Oh man, I could like change that right now. I could sit here. Yeah, I'm looking at that saying like that's confusing. Those should be grayed out at first. So yeah, that's a good note.
So Scott, how about what was all the filter things you were talking about?
So one of the things that I was noticing was that I saw that the Q control, once things were turned on, it didn't seem to work. And then I didn't realize that you had to just go a lot further, move the mouse cursor a lot further to actually get it to change. And I didn't realize also that it was that it was only three different filters rather than a continuous variation. So that was a little bit confusing to me coming on, looking at a new plugin and not having a manual. I mean, if I get a new plugin, I like to be able to work the controls and go, oh, that's what it does. Oh, that's what it does. So it's about being intuitive. So that was one of the comments that I made. Also, because I didn't know, I didn't totally understand, what was going on with those arrows. At first, I assumed that they were part of the key listen. And so I was trying to make it work with that, and it didn't work. So then once I realized it was high pass and low pass, and okay, now I see that it actually, what it does, and now I see that it actually works because I didn't think it was doing anything. So once I figured that out, then I guess my other thing was, because these are both white and they both look the same, I was thinking that maybe it would be better they look the same as these, but everything's great as the other band. You can't see what my mouse is doing. I'm pointing at the stuff with the mouse as if you can see that. So the other filters, what you're in because of a different color, but you don't know which one you're in, whether you're in the high pass or low pass filter controls, because they're the same color, and there's no label that says that what you're in. And also we have all of the compression controls up top that don't work at all. One suggestion I had was just to have those disappear, so that when you're in that when you're in the high pass or low pass, just have stuff that isn't enabled, just have it disappear maybe. That would help. To me, that would help sort of declutter the interface and make it more intuitive. I don't know, and others may disagree with me on that. It's just my.
What do you think about these arrows here? You think they should just be your typical, like the inverted L kind of thing right there? Maybe that would make people understand it a little bit better.
Inverted L,
or like a man. How do I draw on the screen? Holy crap! I can't
like
even
a little
do it.
high pass or low pass, like curve shape.
Yeah, you know what I mean, like the ramp. You think that would make people?
Yeah, that might work.
Yeah.
And then I think graying out the thing if it's off, and then turning it white when it comes on.
So I just took a look at the code, and the way that I set it up, because those high and low pass filters are not processing, they're off. Those controls should be disabled. I have a line here that says set those controls to have the same enabled state as the filter, but for some reason that's not loading right. So that's something I'll have to take a look at.
Oh, okay. So they do color different normally, or they should.
They should, those high and low pass controls, the draggable circles should be grayed out if the filters are off to start.
Okay. Well, yeah,
So
that would be big time.
yeah, in general, the whether or not the control is grayed out is reflecting whether or not its corresponding filter is on and doing processing. And it's supposed to be linked up so that whenever it's off, the control is grayed out, and whenever it's on, the control is colored, or is bright. But for some reason on initialization, those high and low pass ones are bright colored, but the filter is off as it's supposed to be. So it should just something's funky there. Should be a quick fix.
Another idea, maybe, just to make it even more clear, because the white to me is somehow is less clear just visually.
Sure.
What about adding like a line through it, like a diagonal line through it, that it, in addition to graying it out?
Oh, something else to make. Yeah, that's a cool idea. Some of these things, because all these graphics are loaded in, require us to go back to our graphic designer, and then and as much as I have to, as much as I can circumvent the bureaucracy of like getting to someone else and waiting for someone else. Not that our shout to our graphic designer, Jonathan, who has done an awesome job with these, but it's just a process of asking someone else for something and then waiting and getting it back, whatever. So, but those should be grayed out, and really like, yeah, getting those to actually just be filter curves, I think would make it more obvious. And I actually did make that change, Scott. I increased the drag sensitivity on the slope value for those filters by a lot. So like as soon as you move the mouse on that thing now, you won't have that issue where you have to drag so far in order to get it to change. It goes back and forth pretty quick.
Sweet.
Yeah, I love like the quality of life stuff. That's always the ones I really love. They seem like they kind of seem like no brainers until you run into something that they didn't have the brains to do it. I have a lot of trouble with we always bringing up Positive Grid, who I love the sound of their amps, but not being able to type in values, not being able to see values at a glance until you move something and ended up changing it. That is a nightmare. That's one of those quality of life things that just kills you. And when you have like a three, basically they're talking about a slope, how many poles type of switch. I think 6, 12, or 18 or something like that. How steep the high pass and low pass filters are going to be. It's only got three positions, and it's across a giant knob. So it if you drag it normal, it'll take a long time before it even switches. In fact, it might not even feel like it's switching, and that can be pretty counterintuitive. And so it's a tiny thing. It does the exact same function, but how you get there can make a big difference. With Reaper, we counted how many clicks it took to do certain functions, and tried to minimize those as much as possible without having to remember a whole bunch of stuff. That's the other thing. Like, sure, you could do everything in the world if you assigned every function to a single hotkey, but you're probably not going to remember the whole thing.
Yeah, that's one thing I always remember about watching the development of Reaper. It was kind of incredible because Justin's so fast.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But just to see how, we had so many different people inputting, hey, I noticed this, and it really was so customer or end user centered in a way that just seems like more than a lot of companies are. I mean, I feel like that's getting better with some companies. They may not, as far as I think probably Justin in the development of Reaper really challenged put a fire under a lot of DAW developers,
Yeah.
you know, and it's carried through. I mean, to the way you're developing this, and you know,
Yeah, I mean, I remember being the angry customer, man, and I don't ever want to. I don't ever want to be. I don't ever want to put anybody in that position to know that there's just this one thing, and maybe it's a little thing, maybe it's a hard thing, but it's something that needs to be done. And if it was done, everybody's life would be easier. Let's just do it, you know. So
yeah, that's why I remember right at the time I was using Cubase, and you know, everybody was getting pissed at Steinberg right at that point, and that's when I I switched, because really for what I was doing at the time, even the beta version was a lot of what I needed, and I knew it was going to get better. So then I started, you know, pushing it on the telling people about it on the Sound on Sound forums, and then it really kind of took off there.
yeah,
Some people really arguing about it, but
yeah, oh yeah,
there were a lot of people that were looking to get away from Steinberg at the time. I mean, it's better now after post Yamaha, but man, whew, back then it was like their hardware and their software. There were so many bugs that they just weren't
yeah.
fixing.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I want to make the, you know, my ultimate goal is always like, I just want people to or at least for me, I want the sounds that I'm hearing in my head to come out of the speakers, you know. What can I do to make that happen, you know, without as little fuss as possible, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like this is one of those things. So here, if you look right here, you probably may not be able to see it. There's a fader that's it's showing up at the top, like you would assume, like 0 dBFS or whatever. But really, if I move this right now, it's saying plus 0.0. So this is unity gain. So this is just an example of how this stuff works. This is unity gain right now. But if I touch it, boom, it just jumped. And
Yeah.
really, here's unity gain, right? So it's just a little bug. These tiny little things, man, they can eat up, like a little thing like this could eat up a week, you know, and something impossible, some crazy type of DSP that you've never seen before can get done in a day. So you never know what in the world's going on with stuff. But, you know, bugs happen, and that's why we need, you know, you guys out there beta testing stuff, you know, have no idea how important you guys are, you know, and that's why we take it so seriously. Is that you know, you're going to run into stuff that we're not going to run into. You know, I was notorious for finding problems that the manufacturers wouldn't find, you know, back in the day. And that got me a lot of software because I just ran into problems. I wasn't trying to. I was just trying to use the stuff the way I thought it was supposed to be used.
Yeah. Yeah, that bug, Aaron, I believe that is fixed now. You just don't have that build quite yet. But that was just an issue with where the image of that fader was getting painted when it started, but I think that's fixed now, which is nice. But yeah, we want all those things to be good, and you know, when it's like Friday at 9 p.m. and I've been working on all these things all week, and someone's like, "Hey, the Q slider could be a little bit better," and I'm like, I just learned an entire coding framework in the last like 6 months, but no, I agree and totally. And as we go forward, just getting as much feedback from engineers and producers and people who are using this as possible to make it as intuitive, as easy to use, as user friendly as we possibly can is a huge priority, I think. So.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of huge, Scott, what do you think of? I mean, I know this one's guilty of it too, but you know, the modern trend of plugins, they're gigantic, right? Like, I don't know if this thing's taking up too much of your screen, or how do you feel about the size?
The size feels okay. It seems like you can adjust it too, right? You can adjust it to large, medium, and small.
Yeah, you can make it a little smaller.
There's some
kind of
zoom settings.
You know, we just started getting scaling working on some of the plugins, but I think this type of graphics, you can't really scale them, right? So,
well, if you go to settings, Aaron, you can change the zoom setting.
You go to the smallest. Oh yeah, that's the other bug. So if you click settings,
that's still happening for you. That's a problem.
So here's, oh man, you can go even bigger. Look at that. Look at the size of that thing. But you know, at 75%, this is it's not any bigger than like you'd see like EQ4 or whatever, right?
That's great. That's great that you can, can zoom it like that. So I haven't really felt like it was too small or too big. I mean, at first I was having some weirdness in an earlier version, but no, it seems great now. I mean, I have a few plugins that are, it's like I can't really make them any smaller, and I
Yeah.
really wish I could. And some of them you really do need to have a lot of space, like contact complete, for example. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there to control, So
Yeah.
it, you know, but if you really need to look at something surgically, that it's kind of nice to be able to zoom it in. So
Yeah, Brandon
great.
Hires out there. Yeah, I've just been surprised just how big, like even like compressors, like you get these ones where it's just like one knob and like it's the one knob compressor and the knob like takes up your whole screen. I know we're going to those newer kind of bigger, higher resolution monitors, so I guess, then it wouldn't be so bad, but oh yeah, Brandon, if you're listening, yeah, a lot of this was meant for. Oh yeah, Brandon Hires is typing at me right now, so not typing in the restream chat so everybody can see it. Sheesh, but yeah, this does upward and downward expansion, and a lot of that stuff we were talking about for multiband gate version 2. Deciding on what bands, telling which band what to do. This is going to do off the bat with its downward expander. It's a little different. It's not quite a gate, but you'll see it. It'll act like that.
The if you bump the ratio up to infinity, it's pretty gaty. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell the difference. I'm just saying, like, some pedant out there is going to say, no, that's some cork sniffer, like Vin Kergliano likes to say, is going to play pigeon chest with us and knock down all the pieces and say, well, technically, so the Simpsons guy from the comic shop, you knew. So, but yeah, Brandon, it has a spectrum analyzer and stuff. I'm not actually running anything through it right now, but upward downward expander. Each band you can pick. Each band you can pick if it's going to come from its own EQ band, from its input or the side chain. And so when you do the key listen, you can set your high and low pass filters for deciding how it's going to be. So if you really, just like with multiband gate, if you really wanted the hi-hat to control your kick drum or something, that's it's definitely doable. Or you can just actually put a side chain in here. So
I had mentioned that with the side chain thing. I noticed I didn't see where a place for the side chain signal to show what it was doing.
Oh, that was an interesting one to actually visualize a side chain signal.
Yeah, so if you click key listen, you'll it should it switches the spectrum to the side chain input, right?
Right.
Yeah, it should actually.
You can see it. You can see it if you're in key listen, but if you're out of key listen and you still want to see that while you're making adjustments to the other filters.
I guess we could put see that after this thing's running, maybe you could have like a button up at top where it's like input, output, and source or something. Input, output, and side chain. That'd be kind of cool. So 3 different colors, which we had so much trouble getting 3 colors on just for multiband gate, man. But that could be a cool thing to do.
Or what about even, I don't know, a meter on the side or something? Or are you, so, because I want to see it, I want to see what the signal is doing, and at the same time as I want to see what the filter is doing, so I can.
So you're talking like even a level meter for the side chain would be cool, like even if it was small and not all that accurate.
Right.
And now Brandon's asking about a MIDI trigger for the side chain. Okay, now we're going. But this is all. There's nothing. I think can't intuition. No, multiband gate definitely can take a MIDI input now. I'm planning on that. All of our stuff's really going to have a lot more control features. So MIDI input would be cool. I could just see all the the Skrillexes out there, just fitting a key track to their bass guitar and doing some crazy stuff with that. Or just, if you're really tired of this singer just S-ing all over the place, just dropping little MIDI blips to turn off those S's, and instead of, if you're already in the MIDI editor, it'd be pretty quick compared to what we do in Reaper, the hitting the S key and dragging it or whatever. This could actually be pretty handy. So yeah, maybe Brandon, maybe in version 14 or something. But actually, I'd like to see MIDI, a lot more MIDI in all of our plugins. Especially now that MIDI 2.0 is coming only, was it 34 years after it was first announced to be out? So as a MIDI spec 1 was 82, 83, and then the MIDI 2.0 spec was started around 86. I think we were supposed to have it or whatever. But we got it now, I think, right? There's bidirectional MIDI and everything now? That you guys know? They updated MIDI, right?
I'm not sure. I looked at the MIDI 2.0 stuff very quickly, but I don't remember.
Oh man, it was like anticipation for everybody for so long, but over the years, because it never really came, all these manufacturers started adding their own kind of sysx stuff to the point where those kind of became part of the spec. Like sample dump standard, or I think other things. Like, I'm not really a MIDI-ite very much, but I do know some of that stuff. So let's see what else. So this is how I want to see interacting with the end users and the manufacturers. Here's our concerns. What do we got to do with it? Because back in the day, it seemed like most of the DAWs were made by people who had never been within 20 miles of a recording studio, so they had no idea what we were going through or how we use the tools. And want to make sure that hopefully I'm not losing touch so much, because I still am mixing a lot of stuff, not as much as I used to, but I'm still doing some. So I'm trying not to lose touch completely here. But Scott's using this stuff out in the field, so we want to make sure that it's working for him easily. And I think for a lot of us, once you're over about 30 or so, you really want to be teaching other people how to use this stuff. You might need to go sit down for a little while, and you need somebody to be able to run it. And stuff has to be intuitive enough that they're going to get it too. In this totally twisted landscape of the last maybe 5 to 10 years, where in any other point in history, the older people would ask the kids how the technology worked, because they'd be up on it and they'd know it. And in this right now, it is this perverse situation where we're telling the new guys how to use new tools, which is ridiculous, man. This is not this is grandpa with the jitterbug phone teaching a kid how to use an iPhone, man. This makes no sense, but that's where we are right now. So it has to be pretty intuitive.
Well, yeah, it's crazy because things are going so far in with AI now. I mean, so many plugins. I'm looking around, seeing, plugins that will take loops and it practically make your music for you.
Yeah.
And so people are getting into it from that standpoint, and they're not getting into it. But even back in the day, I mean, even how I came to it, just, trying to figure it out and going on the forums and, going on the internet, looking stuff up. How do you do this? How do you do that? I think the learning curve is so steep with learning how to produce music, especially, I mean, first of all, we had band programs and stuff like that where people were really learning their instruments in school, and now not so much.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of stuff to learn. So I do think having interfaces that are really intuitive is important for the end user, but also, I mean, for marketing too, because you're just having so many people coming in saying, oh, well, geez, I want to do this, and let me learn how to do this. if it takes a long time to get your head around just one plugin, let alone, the routing and Reaper and,
Yeah.
or whatever DAW you're using. So I think it really is important. It is a kind of a weird thing. I feel like there's a lot of back and forth. I'm noticing this with young musicians coming in. I mean, I've been out in the field. I was in New York. I've played with some of the best players in the world, and but the music business is changing now, and so now I'm having to learn, like, I'm having to retool everything. Like, how do I do this? Because you can't depend on, okay, well, I'll get on some good records and maybe I'll get some residual money, or you know I mean, and now that COVID, we're all trying to make music from our homes and trying to find new ways to do that. I mean, there's just so many changes going on, and the way that music is marketed on social media now versus, you used to go and try to get a record contract and have somebody do that for you.
Yeah, and staple flyers to a post.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I remember when the thing was, get a mailing list going. Back in the '80s, I put a jazz group together, and nobody here in Michigan was doing this except for there was a blues guy that was doing it, and he was packing places. So I actually got a hold of part of a mailing list from a radio station, and
Oh,
got
wow.
the band and got the pictures and started sending out postcards. And I was packing places at a time when no other, like, there were 2 jazz gigs in this area, and nobody was. They were both getting ready to dump it because they weren't getting enough people. And then I came in and said, "Hey, give me a month to see what I can do," and I was packing a place. And then it changed the whole thing around. People were starting to hire jazz bands again in other places, because of that. So it keeps changing really fast now.
No,
Sorry to get off a topic a little
no,
bit.
no, no. But I am about to run out on this Zoom thing. But I think we got everything up. Might have to do this again next week because I'm going to be up on my hour for my podcast anyway. So let's see if we can get together again next week. Hopefully, if you're around, Mark, and talk a lot more about this plugin.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully those bugs will be fixed by then, and you'll have a version where the zoom doesn't jump around and
Yeah.
your sliders are in the right place. So
Yep. Oh crap. Oh man, sorry guys. Yeah, it just croaked on us. Wow. That just shut off. Sorry. Man, okay, listen, this isn't the Matt Dillahunty show. I didn't just hang up on anybody. Okay. Oh yeah. So yeah. Sorry guys. Yeah, the new version is that new version. I think that version I have a beta for. I can put it out. I can put that beta in the Discord. Listen, you guys. So I got to go anyway because we're about to run out of time on this on my podcast hosting. Please, beta testers, we really need you guys hammering on this stuff. So if you're interested in beta testing this and you're not right now, let me know. You know how to get a hold of me. pipelineaudio at AIXDSP. Just go to AIXDSP on Facebook or whatever, or the normal places that you guys all torture me from. And that'll be it for this week. And next week I'm going to try and get everybody back on. And hopefully, I've been saying this for more than a year. Hopefully, I'll have Jim Roseberry on because we have to optimize this PC. So I'll see you guys later.